So, welcome everybody to the Laurie and Tall Paul Show. I'm Laurie
Hey,
Heinzelman, and I'm joined by Paul Olson.
hello everyone. We're pumped up. You can tell already. We're pumped up about this episode.
Yeah, super pumped. We decided that we're just gonna go with the flow today,
That's
and
right. And hey, sorry, Lori.
yeah.
Sorry about that. But what you were
Boo.
talking smack the other day. In one of the other episodes, you were talking smack to me about another team. Gosh, what team was that?
Was I
Hmm.
really?
Where? Yeah, what team was that?
I'm very good at talking smack about any team that we really hate. Yeah, I'm a huge Michigan, obviously Michigan fan. Lions, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
that's the team. Yeah, the Lions. What are they up to now? Man, are they winning?
Okay. Oh, we're winning a lot more than we were in the past. So
What?
I do bring, I say, hey, at least we're winning games. We have enjoyed a very good run the past several years. It's been really exciting for the team, but
Uh-huh.
at least we have won games this season. That's all I can say as a member of the 0 and 16 crew that year that we
Yep.
lost every game. This is an example of celebrating your wins and taking a look back. At least we've won some this year in
That's right.
2025.
Hey, you can have pride even when it's not perfect, right?
That's right. It's funny what this reminds me of is an example of you might not agree with everything or agree on things you like or don't like, but you can still work together in a way that is productive. And I think that that's a good thing to call out here because, yes, I'm a Michigan fan and you're a Chicago, Illinois fan, and we butt heads when it comes
A
to teams.
Chicago, Illinois fan.
Well, I
That's
just say
what?
Illinois because I don't know. You might have Illinois. Well, so you're a Bears fan,
Yeah.
clearly. And I'm a Lions fan, but I'm sure we have other teams that we don't ally on. Our loyalties lie in other spaces, but we have a common bond, I guess, in wanting to help people get better and believing in people and that
Well,
people
let me
matter.
tell you, that was a very professional transition into today's topic.
Well, I just wanted to point it out because we're talking about that. Like, this is a really good example. I think that's one of the reasons that people connect with us is because we just talk, we keep it real, and we also use examples that they can relate to. And we know a lot of people can relate to
That's
sports
right.
topics,
That's
sports
right.
that how you play a game.
Business could learn a lot from sports.
Yes, they can. So I'm still trying to remember the team that I.
The Lions. It was the Lions.
Well, no, because you said I was talking smack. So was I just talking smack like, hey, we're better than you and
Yeah.
we're
Oh,
gonna beat
yeah.
you, or
Yes. And it hurt a lot. It really hurt me. And so now it's my turn.
I'm very good at talking smack.
I'm going to be emotionally intelligent right now and hurt you with my words.
No, no, no. If you're emotionally intelligent, you're not going to hurt me with your words. You're going to control
That's
yourself
right. That's
and how
right.
you respond. But we
That's
can
right.
swing, we can swing into that. We said we wanted to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence today. And that's a topic I will likely continue to talk about as we record more sessions because I believe that it's very important in in life, but also as a leader, how you respond to certain situations for sure. And in fact, I exercised emotional intelligence today in a certain scenario, but I'm not going to get there because I don't want to talk about it today because I specifically wanted to talk a little bit about the relationship side of things, like relationship management when it comes to emotional intelligence in the workplace.
Okay, so let's rewind real quick.
Okay.
And for those listening or watching who might not know, what is emotional intelligence? Why is it important? And then go over the four parts of emotional intelligence.
Okay. Okay. So now you caught me off guard a little bit, and I'm trying to think. I don't have a proper definition of
Well,
emotional
in your
intelligence.
newsletter, can I read your newsletter? Because
I
I
mean,
think
you
I think
can't,
in your newsletter it sums it up
you can.
nicely. So in your newsletter, you define it as
Well, okay, so I don't know that
got
it's a
it?
definition, but I did find that where I talk about how it's your level of emotional intelligence is it indicates how well people respond to you and then how well you respond to them in certain situations.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Yep,
Hmm.
that's emotional. So I don't know that that's the definition, but your level of emotional intelligence is very important. And that's why when we talk about emotional intelligence and then the test that you can take, there's a score that you receive. If you're on the lower end, you might be interested in trying to raise that score a little bit because it does affect how people perceive you, and it affects how they respond to you, but then also if you can get them, how you respond to them, and also if you can get them to do certain things, honestly. And there's four quadrants. There's four quadrants, but then there's five components depending on who you listen to out there. So I'm going to stick with the four quadrants because that's what I know best. And this is based on Emotional Intelligence 2.0. So EQ 2.0. It's by Travis Bradberry and Gene Greaves. And they're the ones that I have followed the closest. But there's also Daniel Goleman that I also talk about in my newsletter. I would say Daniel Goleman, sorry, was the one that sort of started the emotional intelligence uh, founding. I don't even know what the appropriate word is there, bandwagon, if you will, and
Yeah,
then
the movement.
emotional
Yeah, I mean, it
intelligence
really became a
2.0.
movement.
Yes, movement. And then Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry. I would say that he fine-tuned it and made it more relevant to a more modern work setting. He updated it, if you will. And then the four quadrants that are involved in emotional intelligence, that's self-awareness, it's social awareness, self-management, and then relationship management, which is the one that I wanted to talk about today.
Okay. And so why did you want to hone in on that one first?
All four are important, but I believe that this quadrant is very important for getting your team on board, helping your team, I guess maybe holding them accountable. So getting your team on board, holding them accountable because they want to hold themselves accountable, and then also just the influence that you have. When you have a good relationship with people, you're able to influence them in a good way. So you can help them see this is the reason why we're working on A, B, and C. This is why I need you to work a little bit longer. Maybe even this is the reason for why we had a change. But when you have a good foundational relationship with your team, I think it's the gosh, I can't even think of it. Like I was just I'm at a loss for a word. Like the pillar maybe, or like the stone that you build the rest of the house on.
Yeah, the
Like
cornerstone, right? Yeah.
yes,
Like and it's the thing it's it's the thing that builds trust.
yes, and
And that
thank you. Yes, thank you for bringing that up because in there is empathy, and then trust, and then obviously building a relationship with others. That personal relationship that you have with them.
yeah, so I the word you used I thought was great when you said influence because a lot of people will say that leadership is influence. um to me, leadership is communication because you can't influence someone unless you communicate with them in a way that resonates with them. But emotional intelligence does, when you have high emotional intelligence, that's what allows you to influence people
Yes.
in your communication
And I have
because you
learned
have a,
that, yes, and I have learned that from my own experience as well. In fact, I have a particular scenario that I wanted to talk about because I've learned a lot of people are lacking in this space. Maybe not on purpose, but a lot of leaders, particularly men, are lacking in this building relationships with their people. They think I'm just there to work. This is it. They're the employee. Go do the work. And they misconstrue building a relationship with I'm not their mother, right? I'm not here to mother them. I'm not here to care about them. They misconstrue relationship building or having a relationship with someone as coddling or something that a caregiver would give. And I want to talk about that a little bit more because it's really important, not just for women, but also men in the workplace to understand how having a relationship with the people that you work with is important and how it influences your day to day, not just to get the work done, but also your mood, your own personal feelings. And one particular scenario that I want to talk about here, and maybe you can ask about it a little bit, is several times in my career, I was not the direct leader. I was in a role of a coach in one scenario, and then in the other one, I was like the expert of our field, the data security field. So I was the expert. I was the one that did the training for the new people and the onboarding process. So I was a senior person, and it was my responsibility to train and then also roll out new changes. Okay, so I was not a manager or a team lead in either of these scenarios.
Okay.
And in one, I relayed some information that several of my team members had told me, and it was a common theme. I don't know specifically what it was, but it was information several team members had told me. And it got to the point where I thought, my manager needs to know this. So I went and I told her. And she said, "Why are they telling you?" That was her response. It had nothing to do with what I had shared, our concern with information. I think that we realized that some wrong information or incorrect information was being disseminated by another individual. And so we wanted to make them aware of it. And it wasn't, oh, that's a concern or I'll look into it. It was like, why are they telling you? Like they were
Immediate jealousy.
yeah, upset that they were telling me and not
Uh-huh.
the manager directly. Okay. Now, completely different group. I several years later, when I was the agile coach for the organization for software engineers, I again relayed some information from people that I was coaching, Scrum Masters in particular, several people coming and telling me things. So I relayed it in a leadership stand up that we had where I met regularly with the managers and directors. And they asked me, "Why are they coming to you?" They
And
listened
so
a little
what was
bit,
your answer?
but they said, "Why are they coming to you?" And
Yeah.
so my answer, what I said at the time was, "I don't know. Let's think about that. What am I doing differently?"
Hmm.
Right. So just thinking about personality, thinking about day to day, what is it that I'm doing differently that would cause that person to come to me versus go to you?
Yeah.
Later
So
on, I
this
had, go ahead.
so I was just going to say, so one of the other components of one of the four components you had mentioned is social awareness, right? Like
Mhm.
talk about not having social awareness. These people had none of it. And they they thought there was some kind of secret that you had that they didn't.
I know.
You
And
had the relationship building and they didn't.
which is crazy because I'm very observant. That's a skill that I have. I'm very observant. I always talk about I should have been a detective. I notice everything. And when I have conversations with people, they'll say, "Wow, you heard that? You saw that?" Yes, yes, I saw that right away, right? The Bears hoodie for those who aren't watching and just listening. But I notice it all. I notice the interactions between people, whether someone's smiling, whether they're not happy. And that goes into the social awareness part that you're talking about, sort of reading the room.
Mhm.
That's another piece of emotional intelligence that we'll talk about also. But if we take it back
Mhm.
to why are they coming to me? I had the opportunity to talk later on to one of my mentor coaches about this. And he did such a cool thing. He reframed it and he said, reframe that question. Why are they not coming to you?
Yeah.
So instead of why are they coming to Lori, why are they not coming to you? What's
Right.
missing? So
Clearly
what's
they
missing?
didn't have trust. They trusted you and they didn't trust the bosses.
That's the number one thing is
Yeah.
trust. If your team doesn't trust you, if you don't build that relationship where they feel they can trust you, then they're not going to come to you.
They're going to start, yeah, they're going to keep information to themselves because they're going to be afraid of how you're going to react. They're going to lie or gloss over something uh, because they, don't trust that you're going to respond to them in a way that's positive or even helpful. That's why emotional intelligence is really important. That's why, the guys like you guys are good at building rapport, but not not always great at building the relationships. Like you said, but to me it's like, yeah, we're really good at building rapport because we can be funny and we can whatever, we can be honest and sometimes unapologetic, and sometimes there's a certain amount of that builds rapport. But that doesn't mean you have a relationship with people. Just because you have rapport doesn't mean you have a relationship. Rapport is um, a momentary, usually pleasurable exchange. But a relationship is long term, you know, trust, um, confidence, right? What's the word, like being a confidant? I can't think of. We're both at a loss for words tonight, but
It's because we used them all when we were talking
I
smack.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So okay. So tell us more about those stories. Where did that end up going? Did you end
Well,
up ever like sharing with those leaders why you thought maybe they were sharing with you and not them?
I talked to a couple of the leaders about leadership, I guess, strengths and areas that they needed to work in. I didn't specifically talk about they're coming to me and not you because of this. But when I
Okay.
coached them through situations, like when they specifically would work with some of the people that had been coming to me and some of the topics that they wanted to work on, one of the things that I brought up was the relationship piece, right? And also talking about how are you responding? Because what you said earlier when we talked about trust, we hear trust all the time, right? They
Mhm.
got to trust you. They got to trust you. What does that mean? And you did such a nice job of relaying what trust doesn't look like. And they're afraid to come to you. You talked about it. They fear. They fear the response. They fear the reaction because many times it's not received well or it's just kind of slack down. That's not what I was thinking. That's not the answer that I had in my mind. So thank you. And it's just dismissed. So when
Yeah.
people don't feel heard, that's also a sign of where they don't feel that you trust them. Because if you trusted them, you would listen to their idea. If you trusted their opinion, you would
Right.
listen to what they had to say or their input, correct? So
Yeah.
trust isn't just, I trust you, it's much more than that. And so your calling out of what's missing is something people should really focus on is looking at how you respond to people. And maybe it's not your intent to make them feel like they're not heard, but put yourself in their shoes. If you kept going to someone with great ideas, or if you kept going to someone about how you're feeling about a particular topic or ways that you could improve on a process at work, and they never listened to what you said, would you keep going to them?
No, you stop bothering, right? I mean, because you're not gonna. What are you gonna get out of it? You're gonna get nothing positive out of the exchange.
So let's talk about that right there, real quick. The this is something that people can think about. If you are in a meeting, you are holding a meeting, whether it's a team meeting or a planning meeting or I don't know, a party meeting, and no one is responding. There's no communication going on. You can't get people to speak up, say what's on their mind. You might want to consider that you're not so high in the relationship management area because no one is talking.
Yeah.
They don't feel comfortable for some reason to
Hmm.
speak up. They don't feel they'll be heard and they don't trust you. And I bet you there's an element of fear somewhere in the background or backlash. And again, maybe it's not intentional on your behalf, but think about how you respond when people do speak up in the meeting. And I bet you if you shift how you respond or how you approach the meeting even and who you include in the conversation, you'll get a different output outcome.
Have you seen the movie A Bronx Tale?
Ugh,
It's
a long,
Robert De Niro, Chaz Palminteri.
a long time ago. A long time
So
ago.
there's a line that I think Robert De Niro says it. I don't remember who says it. I don't remember if it's Robert De Niro, Chaz Palminteri, or whatever. But somebody says, "Would you rather be feared or respected?" And if you're in that meeting and you're asking people, "Well, what do you guys think?" and nobody speaks up, they either fear your response or they don't respect you. And so that's time to look in the mirror, right? Is like, what am I doing wrong? How come people don't feel comfortable sharing their opinions with me, sharing their thoughts, having a counter idea or having a conversation about this? And it's probably because they either fear your response, or fear you, or they don't respect you because
Yeah.
there's not trust, there's not listening, um, there's not, you're not respecting them and their expertise or their thought process or any of that stuff. Yeah, it's really damaging. I mean, it's very, very damaging.
Yep. And I wanted to talk about that. I don't talk about this part in my newsletter. In my newsletter, I focused on why this matters, and I drew on some information that Daniel Goleman had shared in one of my favorite books, actually. It's called Primal Leadership. It's from 2002, but I just loved this book. We studied it when I got my bachelor's in leadership topics, and it's a really great read. And for anyone who's interested in improving their leadership skills, I think people should check it out. So I talked about it a little bit about why it matters. And some of the things that I highlighted was having good EQ or high emotional intelligence in this area is very what's the word? It helps you when you're developing others. It helps you to inspire others. Also, it's a catalyst for change. It allows you to influence, which we talked about already, right? Influencing others is very key when you're in a leadership position, but then also managing conflict between yourself and someone else on your team or between other people that are on your team and being able to help resolve that conflict in a healthy way. So those are some reasons for why it matters. But you talked about how low emotional intelligence in this space can be damaging. And I like that you brought that up because my question was going to be, what are the consequences if you don't work in this area in improving your relationship management skills? What are some of the things that you can think of from your
Yeah,
side?
well, yeah, I mean, I think we've covered some of them already. You know, the people don't trust you, people don't respect you, people aren't going to they're not going to want to partner with you,
Hmm.
right? They're not going to want to defend you. They're not going to want to champion any of your causes. You okay?
It's going to be an episode for just reality. I'm coughing up over here. I'm
That's
okay.
kind of like what the Lions have done the last couple of games. Horrible.
Oh,
Yes.
Paul, you're gonna have a
Yes.
bunch of Lion fans coming through the computer screen here in a second. Um, yes,
um,
choking. So I'm choking.
uh, but yeah, and I think and people think that people have this idea that well, first of all, imposter syndrome is a problem in allowing people to um, develop their emotional intelligence because I think people build a shell. If they have imposter syndrome, they build a shell around themselves to try to protect themselves,
Mhm.
but they don't realize that you're actually doing damage, that people recognize that that's what you're doing. People can sense emotional intelligence. They can sense whether or not you have trust in them, or whether or not you are trying to help them, right? Whether or not you are uh, trying to develop them. They sense that, whether or not you're doing that. And when you build a shell around yourself because you have imposter syndrome, you're not making it better. You're only making it worse for yourself. And we talked about this along several, maybe the first episode or whatever it was, but about vulnerability, and how that really is what is meant by I'm missing the term now. What is meant by authenticity, right? Is
Yes.
more about vulnerability. And so that's part of emotional intelligence too, is expressing vulnerability, being able to say, look, I'm confident enough that I can say I don't know, or I can ask for help, or I can um, have somebody else come up with the idea, right? Doesn't always have to be me doing it. And this, so I guess that's where I'm going with, like, the importance of this, and how some things that people can avoid doing. The high dominant personality, right? Yes, you get things done, but most people don't like that. That's not a personality that most people trust. And so if you have a high D on the disc, this disc assessment, or if you have a very dominant personality, you also have to understand that a lot of people don't like that. And so you got to pick and choose when you are in your dominant mode, and then ratchet it down in order to build trust with people, so that you're not always just this fiery beast that is just, wants to crush everything in its way.
So I
You're
think I'm
not
gonna
always a Kragan.
okay, so I'm gonna end the discussion with I'm gonna end on that. So as a D from the disc assessment, the fiery beast, the dragon lady, I have had to work on my emotional intelligence in how I respond, right? My own emotional response. And interestingly enough, I thought I was very good at the relationship management part. And when I took the test, I learned that there were some areas that I really needed to work on. So my interpretation or even perception of where I thought I was with the relationship side of things, it was good in some areas, but bad in others. And it was really eye-opening for me. So I want to say that before I forget, because I will, but we'll continue to talk about this in our next few series. For anyone interested in emotional intelligence, I really think that you should buy the EQ 2.0 book by Travis Bradberry and take the test, take the assessment, because it's eye-opening. Sometimes you think you know yourselves, but you don't know yourself as well as you think. And just having that assessment allows you to figure out next steps. So I want to say that. But then also, I want to go back to someone who is a D, like me, who says, I don't care what people think, right? I'm just going to roll over everybody. And maybe someone who's in a higher level position who might be listening to this. Maybe you're a director or above, maybe you're CEO, and you're like, I don't care. What are the consequences to not having high emotional intelligence, regardless of what quadrant it is? There are a few things that I thought of here that speak to people who are thinking money, right? Business outcomes. One is high turnover. People leave companies where they're not treated well, and they don't feel heard. So turnover, you think, okay, fine, I'll lose a person and I'll hire someone else. Okay, think of how much it costs to do a job interview, to put up the job posting again, to look for a new person, and then you have to vet them. You have to go through that whole process of hiring someone and then train them. Now you have the cost of training a new person again. How long does it take to get a new person ramped up? And that doesn't just happen with one person. The consequence is multiple people leaving. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have high turnover rate in a certain department or at your company at all, you might want to look at how your leaders are treating your people. That's one area. So the cost of retraining people is huge, or right, finding a new person, but also poor product
Hmm.
when people don't feel heard, their ideas aren't coming out, they don't want to be there, so they don't put the best effort into it. So you will have a poor product that you will deliver to an unhappy customer. You will deliver poor service to an unhappy customer, and you will have poor communication. And
They're
that will look like
demotivated.
no one speaking up in meetings and
Uh-huh.
nobody telling each other what's really going on.
That's right. They're demotivated and they're disengaged.
So those are the consequences. And when you have demotivated people and disengaged people, your business will suffer.
So that's a great point. So yeah. So if you're in a role and you're wondering why you're not getting better results, look in the mirror.
And then call Laurie, Laurie
That's
Heinzelman,
right.
and hire me for as a career and leadership coach to walk you through it and fix that problem.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Go Lions.
Oh man. Unfortunately, they're not going anywhere.
All right, I'll let you say it. You can say go Bears, and then we'll say
Ho,
goodbye.
ho, ho. Go Bears. That's 80s Bears right there.
All right. So thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, pass on to others.
That's right. And catch us next time and work on your emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Look in the mirror, be vulnerable enough. It's okay. Just be vulnerable and think, man, how can I be better? And how can I be better? Build more trust and, have better relationships with my people.
There you go. That's a wrap.